Yeah, Hidden Islam is a project I started in 2009, so it's a long time ago. And I started to map out all the places in my region that were used by the Islamic community as makeshift places of worship. In Italy, we don't have a law that regulates Islam. So all the places they use are inside warehouses, garages, supermarkets, and so on. So I photographed them from outside in black and white and composed a book, which every page is a gatefold, and then you enter the place and you see the place in color and on the full spread. So the idea was to see how Islam is perceived from outside and how it's experienced from inside, but as well as showing the effects that certain geopolitical decisions have on Islamic communities on local level. So the Islamic community is the second biggest community in Italy after the Catholics, and still they're not recognized by the state. Buddhists are, and all the other confessions are, and this is a big problem, and it's a problem for different reasons. On one side, it's not in the political agenda of the current parties to start a discussion with the Islamic community, and on the other side, the Islamic community is very broad. You cannot define it. It goes from Morocco, people come from Morocco up to Bangladesh and to other countries. So culturally, they are not very similar, and it takes a while for a community to build. And there have been immigration in Italy started more or less 30 years ago. So it takes a while for the community to build up and to find somebody to dialogue with. The work has been received sometimes differently. You notice that there are different schools of photography in different countries. You see that nuances. But at the same time, photography is also it's one of these things that it's like a common denominator for all the cultures. And then it's obviously a question of knowing how to read images, and people read differently culturally, but it's very spontaneous. It's a spontaneous language. It's a very intuitive language, which makes it so fascinating, I think, for everybody, because it can reach from documentary photography to art to anything, to commercial photography. I mean, visually, we are now, I think, sometimes we fix ourselves too much on photography, on the word photography, and we don't think enough about visual language. But what makes photography again so fascinating is how intuitive people deal with photography, how nowadays a kid can take a camera and when he's 2 years old, he can already take a picture. Obviously, you can take a picture in many different ways, as much as you can read it in many different ways. But when I say as a photographer has to combine its profession with other things, is because he has to bring photography to another level. So if a kid can take a picture, but a photographer cannot print and publish that picture within another context, which makes the photographer more interesting, or combine it with video or with many other things. But that's the role as a photographer. It's an excuse to actually explore other things and combine more stuff.